I'm gonna do a shitload of videos because I look good today. the lighting is like key. You know, my hair, I put makeup on. I know I should do my hair more often if it didn't cost so damn much.
Where did you get your hair done?
Okay, I have been going to the same person for like 20 years.
Oh wow.
I know, man. I know. So, but okay, so we have a case and it's an amputation. He's a index finger amputation past the DIP, right? So his whole DIP is gone. He just has his PIP and his MP. And apparently he's just in tremendous amounts of pain, right? Tremendous amounts of pain. And what's funny is he's not in a tremendous amount of pain, you know, like tremendous amount of pain is like you're crippled, right? But he's got a certain amount of pain. He's like, you know, I only have pain when I do certain things. When I'm trying to make a fist, right? When I'm trying to move, it's stiff. And then when I move it or hit it a certain way, that's when it hurts me. So if he can, imagine I have a stump, right? If he goes like this, if he taps down like that, it does not hurt him. If he takes the pad of his, stump and he rubs it like that, that's when it hurts him, right? When he takes it like
the other
that.
day, though, which was interesting. He's like, no, this hurts. And I was like,
No.
I swear that's what he told me. And I'm like, wait.
Call him out on his bullshit. Call him out. Well, you didn't say that the last time, and you tap all the time, everywhere. He's like, but you know, like it's true. He could have pain, but how much of it? How debilitating is it, right? Ah, sorry. I just fell apart. So how debilitating is it? So he's got a certain amount of pain. It's normal. It's normal after an amputation. One of the things I always look for after an amputation is making sure they don't develop trigger finger, right? It's always my thing. Anytime people have hand injuries, you want to make sure that they don't develop a trigger finger. And it's very likely that they can develop a trigger finger because they're constantly going like this. In the middle range, constantly going like this. And index fingers, they're constantly going like this. And then they stick it out, right? They stick it out and then they're like, oh my God, I can't move it. So they have a tendency to develop a trigger finger. So apparently it's an amputation, right? It's amputation. What do you normally do with amputations?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
Waiting.
Rhetorical or not.
No, it's not a rhetorical question. Answer me. Someone answer me.
Be more specific. Manual or?
Yeah. Okay. Manual, exercise, and what else? What do you focus on after an amputation? Desensitization.
Proper forming of like the stump.
Proper forming of the stomping. So that scar. So wound care scar kind of falls in the same, you know, shaping of the stump. Okay. Range of motion, functional grip strength to, you know, return, right? So those are the things you're going to focus on. So in this particular case, somebody said that he needed a splint, right? So what do? Is this within what you, quote unquote, protocol, right? Is this within a protocol of a index finger amputation? Like, what kind of splint, right? So these are the questions you're asking, right? Who's asking for a splint? Who's asking for this? Because I want to talk to them. What kind of splint? And for what problem, right? So if you don't feel, no, not feel. If you know, based on the injury, that person doesn't need a splint, what do?
You don't make it. I mean, it's
don't make it. Not giving shit to you. You're not getting one because I don't think you need one. Well, kind of, sorta, but But you have to.
No, but you do need to talk to the. You need to, like you were saying. Though,
First
you
of
need
all,
to get to
the source of
nitty-gritty.
who's asking for the
Yeah,
splint,
but-
right? In this case,
You just can't be like, oh, okay, let me make one for you, like
Well,
because somebody thinks that you need one.
well,
It was a
no,
doctor,
right.
like, "Here."
Right. So, you know, you have to find out who this was, and you have to speak to them appropriately. But you have to have a basis of what you're saying. You have to say, okay, well, you have to say, well, based on this type of injury, blah, 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 you know, a splint or a custom fitted orthosis isn't recommended, you know. And then you could name some, you know, it defeats the purpose, right? You're trying to bend a finger. Why would you splint it, right? Patient, were they asking for a trigger finger splint? Patient's not demonstrating any triggering right now, right? So you got to have some basis in which what you're supporting, why you're saying no. You can't just be like, no, I don't want to do what you said I need to do because I'm the expert hand therapist. And like, no, you want to say, well, that based on his injury, blah, 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 these are the reasons why you would say no to a splint. Maybe they're not using the right wording, you know? Maybe it's that they want some kind of wrapping for it, okay, right? Some kind of protective wrapping for it that will allow a certain amount of bend, but still protect the stump. And so then is it a compression gel, silicone gel type of cap, you know? And that might be the reason why they are saying it's a splint, but they're using the wrong words. And then, so you would either agree or disagree on the usage of it. Like we have these little caps, they're like tubes, compression tubes that have silicone on one side of it. And I bought them incorrectly. So I use them. So what I do is I'll cut a piece that I need and then I have to sew the top of it. Who knows how to sew here? You guys gotta have to sew. Dang, nobody knows how to sew? I might have to teach your sewing class, but
Your next course.
I know how to sew, so I sew the top off because you can't, because of the thing that I bought, you can't like twist it and then double it up, right? But if you wrap the finger and you wrap it too much, what's gonna happen?
If you wrap it too much, then you're gonna be cutting the circulation if it's too tight.
Well, no, not about the tightness, but let's say if you're just putting something over and you're protecting the stump, then what are you doing? You're not desensitizing it anymore, right? You're keeping it so covered, it's not touching anything, right? And then imagine this is an amputation where the DIP is no longer there. So if you've got something over it, you're essentially limiting PIP flexion. So one, you're keeping it covered and you're not allowing it to touch anything, and two, you potentially limiting the motion. So if you're limiting the motion and the usage, then you're decreasing the functional use of the hand, right? Like, so I agree to use those certain things when they're hypersensitive, when they are, back at work and it really is sensitive. You might want to use it at the beginning. When you're using something like that, you want to have a beginning day and then you have to have an end day. You can't just like use it forever. Now this is somebody who hasn't used it and has been doing really well without it, and now is saying like, oh my God, my pain is so tremendous. But he's not actually telling us it's that tremendous. He's telling someone else that his pain is that tremendous, to the point where someone is writing that he potentially has CRPS, which has no signs of CRPS, has numbness or shocking or whatever, and that he could use a splint. I'm like, okay, so are they trying to say that he potentially has carpal tunnel, but I don't see that he has any carpal tunnel issues? And so what we can do is we can further investigate and test so that we can be really clear to support why we would say no to certain treatments, right? And support why we would do the things that we're currently doing. You got to support it.